Welcome to the final day of pre-season winter testing here at the Bahrain International Circuit. We're moments away and the red light has just gone green, so the cars can take to the track for the final day's running. Sebastian Vettel and the Red Bull team will need every moment until 5:30 this afternoon to try and play catch-up. Didn't even manage to complete a whole lap yesterday. And also, will we see another Q3-like session where Felipe Massa and Nico Rosberg yesterday afternoon traded places at the top of the timesheets? Jenson Button, the first to go out on track this morning for the final day's running, followed by the Toro Rosso with Jean-Eric Vergne. It's the final day of testing here, and it's all to play for. For some, play had to wait. It was almost 4 hours before Lewis Hamilton got onto the track, but he would go on to complete 70 laps and top the timesheets, quicker than his teammate's best time, but 200ths slower than the best time across all tests. That accolade belongs to Felipe Massa, whose teammate Valtteri Bottas was in the car on the final day. He also got into the 133s, but after 108 laps, his Williams broke down, the team's first stoppage in testing as their engine finally gave up. It was a poor day for McLaren as Jenson Button only managed 22 laps, and Lotus packed up early after the E22's engine blew up midway through the final day.
Not an ideal situation. A lot of new technologies, a lot of could get on top of it, and yeah, I think even though we stopped a few times, we've learned as much as we could today. Not an ideal end of the testing, and clearly not the program, but you know, I think we all try to work as hard as we can. I'm sure Renault is doing the same back in Viry, and hopefully 2 weeks will just be good enough to bring some more performance and reliability.
What is it with the Renault teams? Is it a Renault problem?
I think there's a little bit of everyone. It's very complicated, and when something goes wrong, then all the rest can go wrong. So it's just hard to get all things working together. Sometimes our side, sometimes it's Renault. It really depends.
And you said before today that you weren't ready for Melbourne, and now after today's running as well, what's the best case scenario you can hope for at the first race?
Well, I've no idea. Yeah, we haven't done any race simulation. We would love, but we did not. So yes, it's not like we were 100% ready. But as I say, no one is fully ready. I guess season is quite long. It's gonna be trying to get opportunities as much as we can in the early stage of the season and then go for it. So it would be nice to be able to get the checkered flag and score a few points. Do
you think you're far off from finishing the race? Is that a real concern right now?
Well, I think so far we've achieved 32 laps in a day, so that's not a Grand Prix. But you know, as I say, there's 2 weeks before we go there, and hopefully things will be better. We did not do exactly what we wanted to, but we learned as well. So yes, it's not a good day. Yes, we cannot be happy with that. We had a race simulation plan in the afternoon. We could not go for it, and yes, it's frustrating because we would like to be able to do 100 laps every day and that everything goes perfect. But that's not the sport, and especially motorsport.
It's not been too bad. It's you know, it's a work in progress. We learned some things, learned lots of stuff over this test, which has been great. You know, incredible effort from the guys back at the factory, and also the guys here in the garage. I mean, especially today, the guys were working so hard to swap and change things multiple times, and no one lost their cool. They just kept it cool, and got me out and got plenty of laps. So overall, it's been a fantastic winter testing, and even though it's been summer here, but I'm looking forward to the first race.
Do you feel ready?
I'm pretty sure there's not going to be many people that are ready, but I'm as ready as we can be with the limited testing we have done. And yeah, I think it's just mind blowing just how much stuff there is. And also with the car, you know, the tyres. It's my first time just now driving the super softs, so I've had 2 sets now, and you know, the more and more we drive them through the year, the more experience we will understand them, temperatures and all those kind of things. So.
And in terms of the title championship, I know it's very early, no one's even taken to the track for a race yet, but Sebastian said he hasn't got any expectations, but it'd be dangerous to write him off despite their reliability problems and everything else they've had.
Yeah, I mean, he's the world champion, reigning world champion, so he's the target, I guess, for everyone. And absolutely, you know, they look like they have a stunning car, and usually the more beautiful it is, the faster it is, so I'm sure they've got a pretty quick car this year. And once they get the engine sorted, all that system that they might be struggling with, I think they will be very, you know, as always, very hard to beat. But I know my team is stronger than ever, so hopefully we'll be able to fight with them.
And just finally for me, is this unlike any pre-season you've known before? Because of all the changes, because of the fact that nobody really knows where anybody is right now?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely the weirdest and the most difficult pre-season testing to really be able to judge where everyone is. And, you know, definitely also there's so much, as I said, there's still things we're still learning, there's still stuff we haven't covered. There's tons of stuff I'm sure there's stuff that people haven't covered yet, you know. So as we go into the race weekend, it'll be a bit like a test still on Friday, and we'll be learning, and there will be mistakes along the way, I'm sure, through the whole paddock, but hopefully we'll make the least.
I did more laps, so it's very useful for us.
You did a race distance, but do you think you can do a race distance all in one go?
Well, we tried at one stage, didn't succeed, but yeah, I think in 2 weeks' time things look a little bit different.
And compared to how you were feeling at the end of yesterday, how are you feeling today?
Well, I mean, obviously we did more laps today, which is good. Yesterday I couldn't talk about a lot, so I think in that regard we learned a lot, but there's a lot of stuff that we have to look at now. You know, for sure we cannot do the times that the guys in the top are doing for a couple of reasons, but at the moment we have bigger problems to solve than just the pace. The running we did, obviously, it's so many different options this year to run, not just whether you run fresh or use tires and high or low fuel. Also from the engine point of view, you have full power, half power, a little bit power. So therefore I think it's impossible to say where we are. Car-wise, I think we learned as well today, just because we did more laps, and we know that we have to catch up a lot. It's a difficult car to work on. I think you see it as well for the other teams. If you have downtime, then depending on where the damage is, where the problem is, it's a big job to repair it or to fix it, and that's why it takes a long time. Yesterday, twice, two issues were bad enough to basically stop us from running the whole day. Today we had some problems, but we were running for most of the day. So it just shows how different every day can be. But I'm happy we did a lot of laps. There's a lot of things that we learn, and still we need more laps, which we'd love to get, but testing is over, so we have to do more laps down under.
Yeah, it was a nice feeling, a bit of a shock, because we weren't having a fantastic day, to be honest. We had a bit of an issue where we spent a lot of time out of the car trying to find an issue, but we actually had a really successful afternoon and got a whole race run done, and then a couple of performance runs at the end of the day. So it was a good way to finish before heading off to Australia.
Is it hard to sort of contain the excitement when you see the struggles some of the other teams are having, and you manage a run like that, and you manage some quali sims, and you put in a good lap? Is it hard to sort of say, OK, we don't know where everyone is, but try and contain it?
Yeah, we've been through the hard times as well, to be honest. We've had very limited running. I think until probably lunchtime today I'd probably done one of the least amount of laps on the grid, but then this afternoon kind of made up for that. So it's nice to have finished with a performance run, which I think is showing good signs, because that is really a basic performance run. It was good tyres, fairly low fuel, but we haven't really set up the car yet, so we're really happy with where we ended up.
You say more laps in the car for you today, so how are you feeling in the car?
At lunchtime today I was kind of, I didn't really know the car well, because I hadn't done any long runs, I hadn't done heavy fuel, and so you don't really know how the car's going to perform. But now I feel like I've kind of experienced a race. I know what to go through, what kind of settings to adjust, and just feel the car at its limit in a race run. And then it was good to finish with the low fuel.
Ready for Melbourne?
I'm always ready.
What about the team in the car?
Yeah, the team in the car are definitely ready. We're super excited. We finished the season well last year, and I think with the big rule changes this year, anything's possible. We're at the moment a little bit off of the pace, but come Melbourne, that might be enough if the reliability issues struggle at the top.
Well, this is it. I mean, last year you finished every single race, so all you need to do in Melbourne at the moment, with general consensus, is finish that race and you'll get points.
Yeah, last year we had a really good little record of that, of finishing every single Grand Prix. So if we can continue that into Melbourne and the first few races, that would be a real advantage. And we proved last year that the first few races are usually the ones which set you up for the season. So let's just touch some wood that we can get across the line in the first few races and get some points.
Only 3 sessions are not enough. because every day that you run, you discover a lot of things that has to be fixed. And for sure, at the end of this session, we have done around 4,000 kilometers, if I don't recall wrongly. Mercedes almost close to 5,400, 4,900, something like that. That means that, and Williams more or less close to that number. That means that at the end of the day, they prepare better at the start of the season. It's a fact. So we need to start from this consideration, knowing there is a lot of amount of work to be done. But that's normal in such a different environment. So far, I believe that it's important to put down the priorities that we need to fix. Mainly at the beginning on the side of reliability, because at the beginning of the season that would be the key point, and then of course to start to develop, and fix the problem that you have seen. I think that we can consider what we have seen in the first 3 sessions. Mercedes and Williams seems to be in a very good shape, but that's what we have seen so far. I think that we have a good base, and we need to develop it and make sure that we solve all the things that are on the table. There is a lot of potential to be deployed or discovered, and this is the objective that our engineer has to fix as soon as possible, because the points that we will score at the beginning of the season will be very heavy. Even if they are not double, they will be very heavy.
We're getting there. There's so much to do, and I'm sure if you talk to the other teams, you get the same story. A lot of learning to do, a lot of mini crises to solve, a lot of paddling below the surface, in effect. We'll be there. I think the performance is looking good. We just have to make sure that we've aimed everything at not only being quick, but also finishing the race.
Mercedes may be leaving Bahrain as favourites as the pack-up in the paddock gets well underway, but the teams have done all they can, except maybe for Red Bull. They're staying on for filming days. That's 100 kilometres of running on that track, and how useful might that be come Melbourne? We'll see you there.